So this one should be pretty quick, although every time I think about doing a quick video, it ends up being 10 or 15 minutes of rambling. But I just wanted to address a point that I had brought up to me yesterday while I was IMing with Sophia Rune on Skype. She mentioned something about, well, actually, I asked the question about moderate religion and moderate Christianity in specific, because that's where I came from. I didn't come from moderate Christianity, but Christianity. That's a quick distinction that I'd like to make also. Very rarely will you guys hear me talk about Islam or Judaism or Buddhism or Hinduism or Shintoism or any of those for that matter, because I don't really know a whole lot about those. It's not my experience. And one thing that Ray Bradbury always suggested when writing, and I'm sure a lot of other people have done the same thing, is you write about what you know. So since I'm not writing, but I am talking, and these are my thoughts and they are my ideas, I'm going to talk about what I know. And what I know is Christianity. So anyway, the question came up, and I asked the question, is there an issue with moderate Christianity? Is there a problem that should be addressed by the fact that the moderate Christians are speaking with their votes, speaking with their pocketbooks, speaking with, their ideas, and attempting to convince others that their ideas are accurate because of their belief in God and because of their belief in the Bible. And one of the things that she pointed out to me was that my definition of moderate versus her definition of moderate are two totally different things. And it made me realize that there are so many different levels of anything, which I already knew that. I knew that there were so many different levels of everything. But moderate to me are people that, in Christianity, are people that go to church and people that pray before they go on a trip for a safe journey. People that, I would actually almost say that my parents at this point are moderate. My dad and mom are on a road trip right now, and I'm sure that they are, praying for safe travels, praying for a good time, praying that I'll be safe while they're gone, that their belongings and their property will be safe while they're gone. They'll be praying before they eat. They'll probably wake up in the morning and read their Bible, do their devotions, but they're not actively out there. They're not away on business on a missions trip. They're not away on business trying to convince everybody that they meet that God is the answer to everything. And so to me, moderate is almost what a lot of other people, especially people that weren't raised in Christianity, would actually say are fundamentalists. And that reminded me again that my upbringing was extreme. My upbringing was all the way up to, but not including, drinking poison and handling snakes. I'm not exactly sure. I'm still going through and making digital copies of home videos. I don't think that there's an actual service at any point, but the church that I went to, hands raised, praying in tongues, dancing. There would be people that would do the praying in tongues very loud for the entire congregation, and then somebody else would pop up with an interpretation of that. And that's what I grew up in. And so moderate to me is not doing all of that, not doing all of what I call extreme, but moderate to other people means and can mean that God has no actual influence on their actions or on their political views or their votes or any of those things. I had a friend mention to me that I could open a Chick-fil-A, and we were joking about how we'd have Sundays off. And Chick-fil-A, for those of you that don't know, is a national chain. Actually, I believe it's international, and they sell chicken sandwiches, among other things, but they are always closed. All of their locations, all franchises, all company-owned stores are closed on Sundays. And the reason that they do that is so that they can allow their staff to go and worship in their chosen way. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, because I don't know for a fact, but I don't believe that it means that you have to be a Christian to work there. I don't think that they discriminate against non-Christians. I don't know that for a fact, and it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to open a Chick-fil-A. But we were joking about that business model, and you know that Chick-fil-A made $3.68 billion in profit last year. I think that's what it was. It might not have been 3.8 or 3.68 billion in profits, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Actually, I'm pretty sure maybe it was 3.68 in revenue. So $3.68 billion, and you know, my first thing I mentioned was, well, how much more money could they make if they actually opened up an extra 50 days a year, or 52 days a year? There's 1,600 and some locations, 52 days. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of revenue lost because they're not open. But then there are probably people that go to Chick-fil-A because they believe in the mission statement that, you know, God is the one that guides them in their decisions in business, and God is the one that tells them, you know, stay closed on Sundays. So the question, backing it way up, is what is moderate? What is a moderate Christian? What is a moderate Muslim? What is a moderate Jew? I mean, you know, there are so many different levels. When I talk about moderate, and it'll take me a while to adjust to a different definition of this, so I just want to clarify this now, but when I talk about a moderate Christian, I mean just your standard stock Christian, just a Christian. Nothing special, no real denominational attachments to it. And if I talk about an extreme or a fundamentalist Christian, I generally mean extreme. And I have to continue to deal with extreme Christians in my family. You guys have seen my other videos. You know that one of my sisters is a young earth creationist, and the other one believes in intelligent design. Now, I believe that the one that believes in intelligent design, given more information, may be able to overcome the hiccup and the hang-up that she has that stops her from going beyond intelligent design and just straight up accepting that evolution is reality, which that brings up another point as well, as everything always does. And I'm already at 8 minutes, even though I said I would talk real quick. Right before I deconverted, I had always accepted, I hadn't fully accepted evolution, but one of the things that I finally kind of landed on and adjusted my beliefs to, so that I could accept both my belief in God and my belief in evolution, or accepting the evidence of evolution, not belief in evolution, but accepting the evidence of evolution while maintaining a God, is that I believed that evolution started the whole process, that life began, abiogenesis began, evolution took over, and that evolution got us to the point where we became humans, Homo sapiens. Once we were Homo sapiens, my belief was that God came down and instilled a spirit in early man, early Homo sapiens, which then allowed us to grow in our mental capacity and actually apply the intelligence that we were going to have into creating society and agriculture and civilization. That was probably about as honest of a translation of the evidence as I could come up with without ditching God. And I think that as everything continues to move forward, and as the evolution versus creationism versus intelligent design debate continues, although it's not really much of a debate, but there are just so many people that have held on to both both creation and intelligent design that it is going to be ongoing. I think one of the things that you'll find is that even when people accept 100% that evolution is how we got where we are, if they're unwilling to get rid of God, if they're unwilling to take him out of the equation, there is always space for God. And there will always be space for God. I also have been listening to an audiobook of Richard Dawkins' God Delusion. And if I remember correctly, this is the God of the gaps. The part that we don't understand, we just throw God into the mix. Well, even when we do understand it, there's still room for God. And that's one of the things that we're going to have to continue to contend with as we go forward.